Alright, so this is going to be like a part two to the last video. I just tried recording it, but my camera crashed on me. This little Logitech capture thing. Um, it's just plugged into my laptop. Uh, so yeah, the whole premise of this video is why I'm wanting to get better or doing better, uh, trying to get better. Um, which I want to help other people get better, but I think if I wanted to do that, I'd have to like get myself up to a certain point, which I don't think I'm at yet. I know I could help some people, uh, but not a lot. I don't think like a huge scale of people. Um, but yeah, I really wanted to. The main reason I wanted to get better was because my life got so bad at one point that it was just I my only option was to get better. Really. Even now, it's like my life ain't bad. I don't want to say my life is like bad and horrible, but it's just like um I'm not where I want to be in life, you know. So it makes me want to get better. That's one thing. Um, but I might make a separate video about this, but I think this is good information for this video. Good information to put out in this video. I do believe in authenticity. I don't want to come out here and pose as somebody I'm not, mostly because that doesn't help. Uh, but when I'm 22 now, when I was 18, 19, a little bit when I was into 20, or when I was in my 20s, 20s. I'm 22. I'm at 20. Uh, I was into drugs, I guess you could say. Um, Mostly weed, nicotine, and some psychedelics. Nothing too bad. I didn't do anything like super hard. I've done Molly once. Uh, Not once. It was like a couple times or a few times. Uh, it wasn't for a long time at all. But what you call it? Yeah, I'm looking back at that, and I'm not really proud of saying that. But I mean, like I just said, I believe in authenticity, and that's just what I used to do. Um, you know, uh, I fell into the wrong friend group. They all were into drugs, uh, and I kind of adapted some of their lifestyle habits, I guess you could say. Um, which it didn't make me a good person at all. I thought it would make me cool. I thought it would make me yeah, cool, a better person, I guess you can say. Because when I was in high school, I was a little weird. I was kind of the weird kid that got bullied a lot. Um, so I kind of coped with the drugs in a way. Uh, I'm not proud of that at all. Um, but I think a lot of people go through it. Nobody's perfect. And there are a lot of people that do uh, weed and nicotine especially. Those were my biggest problems, which now I could actually help people quit because I've quit those and don't plan on doing them again. Um, so now I could actually help people quit those. Uh, Psychedelics are a different story because I think psychedelics can actually be used for good if you use them right. Uh, but um, one thing that I think psychedelics show a lot of people, not just me in general, but a lot of people, is it's kind of hard to explain this, but the future in a way. Um, I was smoking weed, vaping, and I did psychedelics at one point, and I'm pretty sure it was acid, LSD to be exact. Um, I sound like a fucking nerd when I say this, but um, that's what it was, and it wasn't a good trip. Uh, it was not a good trip at all. It was a pretty badass trip. Um, trying to think. Oh yeah, so I did. I was with some friends that weren't really friends. They weren't good people to be around, so that's why it was like a bad trip in a way. They had a plan that. Which is why another thing about psychedelics: watch who you are around while you do them. Watch who you hang around in general, but watch who you do psychedelics around, because they can be used for therapy. They could be used for so much more than just a quick high, I guess you could say. But at the time, I think I was 18. I was 18 at the time, I think. Uh, and yeah, I did it, and it showed me a lot. I learned a lot actually. Um, and one thing, it made me think about my future, because I think everyone thinks about their future, but I got so far into thinking about my future that I almost predicted it. Um, which even now I still see synchronicities of like my future and slash dreams and stuff like that. Some things in my dreams are coming true in the future, or I get a lot of deja vu or something like that. It's very hard to explain, but this is my best. This ain't my best way of explaining it. I might just make a whole separate video on it. But this whole video was about why I wanted to get better. So, um, yeah, it did have to start with uh, vaping, smoking weed, and doing psychedelics. I did psychedelics, and I'm trying to get my what I'm trying to say here right. So it showed me something that I really didn't like about my future, which I think psychedelics dive into the human mind in such a way that's like you could do a lot with it. But it showed me my future. It didn't really show me my future. I think that I just thought about my future hard enough to where I actually like accurately predicted it. um, which it showed me how I died, which I had an ego death for one. That's one thing. I had an ego death. Um, so I didn't know that at the time though. I thought I was actually dying. So, um, what you call it? Uh, so the person I was back then was someone who vaped and smoked weed and chased instant gratification, ate a bunch of sugar and junk food and stuff. Um, and the psychedelics, when I did them, it showed me where my life was gonna be if I kept going down that path. Uh, which it was not a good life to have. It wasn't cool. It wasn't funny. It wasn't. It was a whole lot of nothing. Um, I remember it showed me how I died, right? And It was basically if I stayed on that same path that I was smoking weed and vaping, and if I stuck on that path, it would have led to me being overweight, um, stuck in my parents' house, um, depressed. Uh, what else? Just overall miserable. And I don't want to say how I died because I don't think it's appropriate. But yeah, it showed me what my life would be like if I went down that path. Uh, my dreams never came true, or yeah, I never did anything good in life. I never amounted to anything great in life. Uh, Never found love. Never had a fulfilling relationship. Uh, just so many things, and it was just like a scary existence. But it felt so real at one point, and I think it was like, oh shit, if I keep down this path, this is where my life is gonna end up. I was so scared of that for the longest time because it was the truth. If I kept down the path that I was going on before, um, first off, I'd be in a way different spot than I am now. But uh, my life would be like hell. It would be like a living hell, man. Um, wow. So that's what really made me want to do better. Although I was addicted to nicotine and weed, I was pretty addicted. I was battling addiction at the time. Uh, One thing I knew that I was in control of was my weight because I was overweight. Um, One thing that I knew I can do regardless was start working out and start weightlifting and start really getting into shape and watching what I eat and stuff like that. Um, at the time, I said like one thing I did have control over. It was that. That's what really got me started working out. Um, the will to just do better and avoid that reality, that scary, scary reality. Um, uh, yeah, although I wasn't in control of my addictions at the time, uh, I did start working out and start trying to do better and eating better. So that's what really made me start wanting to do better, which I think a lot of people, if they've ever done psychedelics, which I've heard this so many times, it's like, oh, he did a psychedelic, and after that, he just quit smoking or something like that. And then it's like, or now he believes in God. That's another thing. They quit smoking or they believe in God now. And I think it's because psychedelics like subconsciously show you your future, um, with whatever you're currently doing. So like smoking, they'll show you 30 years from that point and you're still smoking. And then I think a lot of people believe in God because I mean I've had a crazy experience with that too. Um, Psychedelics kind of show. It's very hard to explain that, um, but I think psychedelics kind of show can show God, uh, God's magic because God is magical, um, powerful. It's like psychedelics can really show you that. Uh, what else? I'm so glad that I'm not on that path anymore though. It's like that's what made me really want to do better. and become a personal trainer so I could get people out of living hell. Because a lot of people are living in hell, and they don't realize that until it's too late. Uh, Even me, I'm glad I realized that when I did, so I could actually do something about it. Um, so yeah, that's really the reason why I wanted to get better, was so I didn't have to face that reality. That it is, yeah, it was a very scary reality. It felt like reality, and even now I'm still a little worried if it's gonna happen. Like, because I do remember being a failure in that reality. And although nobody wants to be a failure, it happens every here and there. You're bound to come by failure eventually. Um, oh man. Uh, yeah, not saying that I will, but it's like it, because I was very old in the, I guess you could say dream. It was more like a dream. Um, I was older. I want to say 30, 40-ish. Um, and it makes me wonder if, like, if I fail this YouTube stuff or business and I don't amount to anything in my life, am I just gonna go back to drugs, which I'm completely in control of? And right now, I'm just like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm more scared to do them, to be honest with you. Uh, I'm not gonna do them. Uh, but there's always that question in the back of my head. Uh, you know, there's always that dream in the back of my head, because I don't want to end up like that fat person. I don't want to end up uh, losers staying with their parents until they're 40, smoking weed and vaping. Uh, it's an awful reality to have. But that just made me also think. It showed me a lot more than that too. It also made me think the opposite. So let's say you have a set frame, like a computer. Okay, I guess I'm gonna get on some nerd shit here because I guess I'm actually a nerd. But let's say, like a computer, you have frames. Okay, reality is frames. Like what you perceive is all frames in actual reality, away from a screen, away from a phone, actual perception. You have frames in life. Okay. Uh, think of the human body like a super sophisticated computer. Okay. Um, and let's say you have a set amount of frames in a given time. So, for an example, well, we're super sophisticated computers, so you can't even. Um, it's almost like infinite frames a second. uh, but let's say, for an example, it's one frame a second. Every second of your life is just one frame. Okay. Uh, so it plays out like each frame by frame. Okay. Uh, which life it doesn't, it guides it, you go through the frames. There's no stopping that. You go through the frames, but what you do in the frames is what matters. Okay. So stick with this for a little bit because this is actually some good ass knowledge. Um, what you do inside those frames is what matters. So, um, for the most basic example ever, just taking a drink. That was some good ass water. But let's relate that set of frames to a specific action. So I just went through the action of drinking some water, uh, and there was a set amount of frames that I did in that, right? So this also relates to habits as well. Your habits. If I do that once, I'm bound to do it again. I'm bound to take another sip of the bottle again in future frames. Okay? So now let's relate this to smoking. Okay? Let's say you smoke a cigarette. You have the set amount of frames uh, taking the action of smoking a cigarette, lighting it up, uh, getting the little buzz, and then yeah, that's it. It's that set amount of frames. That's really it. Uh, which then leads to so just that initial frame. Okay, this is why addiction and cigarettes, nicotine especially, is so fucking scary and like um so scary. Let's just relate it to that. Let's say you just did that, right? It's gonna happen in the future. So really, you're already writing your future with that current action. So, especially since it's so addictive, it's guaranteed to happen in the future. If you if you go through a cigarette, guarantee I guarantee you it will happen again. So basically, the action you take now in the present moment is going to reflect the actions in the future. And most of the time they're habitual. So most of the time they're the same thing. You just you don't realize it, but you really do the same thing every single day. Um, so that's another thing where I'm trying to get at with this whole psychedelic thing was it kind of showed me the frames that were almost guaranteed if I stayed on that same path, right? But that's the power of God in a way, is that you can change that in a way with power, with focus, with determination. You can change your frames in person, like you can change you create your reality basically. You probably heard that saying somewhere, but you can literally create your reality. Um, and it's based on the actions that you take in the present moment, um, or the actions that you are taking in the present moment. And most people don't realize that, and most people get caught in that, well, a trap, because there are so many traps of people that realize this. Um, Mostly money hungry people that like to keep people's attention. Um, and some of them realize this, and that's how they get people, and that's how people drift in life and don't amount to anything in life and lose all their goals, ambitions, and dreams, and realize they could have been someone else when all the time has passed. So, with that being said, this also relates to instant gratification and delayed gratification. Instant gratification. In the frames, in the current frames, you get a little high, right? But it takes some frames away in the future in some way. Delayed gratification, like drinking this water, um, which that might be able to be considered delayed gratification. I don't know, but the set amount of frames that I have there is going to reflect on frames in the future, and they're mostly going to be controllable, I want to say. Um, they're not really taken from you in a way. They're kind of given to you. The frames in the future are given to you with delayed gratification instead of instant gratification, where the your future is taken away from you in a way. Um, so, whew, that was a lot. But with that being said, um, I I realized that I realized how like your actions technically do have consequences. Yeah, let's just say that your actions have consequences. I've I've had fair share of mistakes and regrets I've made in life already, and I'm only 22, but I think that it's just lessons to learn from. So I wanted to get better, right? Um, so I thought the opposite. Hey, if I'm smoking nicotine, weed, and stuff like that, and in the future I become this weed smoker loser guy, then what would happen if I work out? Would I become this jacked dude? This jacked, sexy guy? You know? This super sexy, jacked dude that gets a lot of girls? And then I was on to something. Then I was on to something. Um, because I thought about it and I realized, yeah, that's very true. If I do a workout today and technically write out my workouts in the future and keep up with that, that's technically like a good thing. It would be considered delayed gratification. I don't think it really takes away frames. It kind of makes them. Um, it makes frames. It doesn't take them away from you. It creates them in a way. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure some of this stuff out myself. But uh, if I'm working out now, in the future, it's gonna pay off. So I thought about that. That's really what got me hyped to start working out. I was like, okay, I'm gonna start working out. Uh, um, mostly to avoid that dream that I had. Uh, so I also thought about other things with that too. If I can create my reality, what can I do slash what should I do slash what can I do slash what's the right thing to do? Um, so after a while, I got into books. That's one thing. I still read to this day. Still be reading and learning all I can and getting as much knowledge as I can. And although I've made such good progress in that, there's still more to learn. There's uh, it's a never ending loop of learning. I guess you can say, but at least it's better than a never ending loop of smoking. So, um, I first read a book to quit smoking, uh, which I'm gonna make a video on. Which that changed my life. Actually, that book changed my life for real. Um, the smoking aspect. So then I realized the power of books on top of the power of working out. Um, whoa, changed my life. uh, which technically, I guess you could say I did accomplish that one previous goal that I had where I wanted to change my life. I technically did change my life. You know, I'm not a smoker anymore. I'm way more healthy and fit. Um, which I did technically complete that goal. I did change my life that way. Um, I can still see that one dream becoming a reality if I go for it now, though. And it's not really in control of me no more. I'm more of in control of it. Uh, but it's still in the back of my head. So I've worked I've worked out and read and ate clean and done a lot of things to almost erase that memory from my mind or that dream from my mind or change it. I wanted to change it uh, and get a different vision or dream of what I'd be like if I was like successful, because I think everybody wants success. Uh, I thought, what frames can I take in this moment that would lead to success in future frames? Uh, so that's kind of what I'm working on now, I guess you could say. uh, which after a while, it also changed. Um, which that one dream that I had of me being a fat, lazy loser, still at my parents' house smoking weed, um, that was my biggest fear at the time. I tried to do whatever I can to try and avoid that reality, uh, and try and change that reality and get a different one. Hey, maybe it's gonna change. Maybe this ain't how it's gonna end up. Maybe it's gonna end up different. Uh, Eventually, it did change, and it was of um, where like I felt the power. I almost felt power over it in a way, or it had power on me in a way. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but or energy, I guess you could say. I felt a lot of energy from it, um, which now the energy kind of decreased from it. I don't see it as much as a possibility now than before. Um, but a new one came up, which was technically my biggest fear, and it was me getting murdered, like viciously murdered. Somebody was either jumping me or something, and I was screaming, "Stop!" and they didn't stop. It was just me getting straight up murdered. um, which that became my second biggest fear, I guess you could say. Um, which this one kind of confused me a little bit more because it wasn't like I don't know. This one is still a little different. I think I'm still dealing with this one somewhat. But what you call it? Uh, that's what made me get into jujitsu, and I wanted to learn how to fight and defend myself, just in case somebody did um, try and murder me or something. Which is still possible. Somebody can pull up with a knife and or a gun and like just straight up off me. But there are bad people in this world, and there are people that's gonna do that. So I'm just glad that I'm not one of those people. It's just I'd rather not get murdered. I don't want to get murdered. So that's what really got me into jujitsu, though. It's a little bit deeper than that, a little bit more than that, but that's what made me get into self-defense, learning about self-defense, which has made me such a better person than I ever have been. It's made me so good. It's made me see life for what it truly is. Um, so I think these are just layers that I'm working through, um, to get to something deeper in a way. I have had a vision of me being successful because I thought about it so much. I was like, what would I look like if I was like successful? And I was on a boat and I was decently tanned. I, went on a fair share of vacations. I was like ripped. I had muscles. I was like posing or something, posing in the back. Um, and my biggest fear was losing my laptop. dropping my laptop in the water. That was my biggest fear. um, that's another vision that I've had. Uh, but yeah, I think these visions are almost visions. I want to say visions. The first one was more like a dream. The other two were more like visions. Um, which yeah, uh, these are the only ones that are like I've had really. Um, which I don't see that much energy from the first dream anymore. The energy from the second one is still kind of there. I think I'm still dealing with that one. Uh, and the energy of where I'm like successful in life, I mean, that one is still very faint, I want to say. Because I think I know that deep down I still have a lot of work to do. Um, but shoot, man, I'm getting better. At least I'm getting better. I'm doing what I can. Um, each and every day, that's what I'm worried about. It's just getting 1% better and doing better and uh, trying to be successful because, I mean, I don't want that first reality to happen. Whew. And I don't want that first like reality to happen. That's really why I wanted to get better and why I wanted to do better and why I started working out and reading. Um, and also becoming a personal trainer so I can help people that uh, might be stuck in a reality that they don't want to be in. Um, but it's not that simple, obviously. Uh, but yeah, I might make some videos. I kind of wanted to make like some really good videos about some books that I've read that actually have helped me in life. Uh, and yeah, now it's just like the frames that I'm taking or the actions that I'm taking in this moment, this YouTube video, I guess you can say, and reading and um, cooking as well, because I do cook, so I could have a clean diet. Um, oh, with jujitsu as well. With jujitsu is another thing. Um, it's like I might not seem like I'm getting better now, but like once you put in the work, once you do the time, once you delay the gratification, um, it will pay off in the future. Uh, and yeah, that's really what I'm focused on right now is just getting better still, being the best version of me that I can be. Uh, whew, which like, yeah, I might actually be like, this is just yeah me putting myself out there for real and like my life experiences. I am a better person than I was back then. That's one thing I'm worried about is people coming at me in a type of way for being a smoker or doing drugs in the past, and it's like you kind of can't really get on to me for doing that in the past because I don't do them now. I haven't done them in quite a while either. I'm doing pretty good now. Um, I don't plan on going back to that lifestyle. Oh no. I'm creating a better lifestyle, a more successful, more fulfilling one. Um, so yeah, it's just like putting that out there is almost kind of like has me worried, but I know that I'm good. Uh, So yeah, it's just putting myself out there. Really, that's one thing that I'm still like worried about in some way. It's just putting myself out there. So yeah, um, which it worries me because like anybody can just type in my name on YouTube and just watch this video. Uh, and like, well, I don't want to get canceled, that's for sure, but I don't want nobody to have dirt on me for like thinking I like smoke or anything, or I'm still that person or something, or they see who I used to be and like think of me differently or something like that. Which I know the real ones would understand what I'm trying to get at here, but also it's like, oh man, getting tired. Also, it's like I'm like showing the whole world in a way the real me, um, which is very scary, you know. Uh, which I've learned a lot. You know, I'm a way better person than I used to be. Um, and some people are still stuck in that freaking in hell. Some people are stuck in hell, and I'm so glad I'm like I wouldn't say I 100% made it out because I don't think I think you have to do years of work to make it out. And the more you put yourself in hell, the, so say you start here and then you go down here and then you're down here. And then if you wanted to get back up here, which like if you started from here, then you could have just gotten up here like pretty easily. But like since you're down here, you got to get more back up to here and then go back to here. So you got to do a little bit more work. So I think uh, almost like um, taking what's what do they call it when your actions have consequences and then you okay dealing with the consequences of when I was 18, 19, 20, um, which after working on myself for 2 years I could actually say that I'm actually doing all right now. um, Still not where I want to be financially or business wise or physically, um, mentally, spiritually. I guess you could even say spiritually too, because I still want to grow with God, um, grow my relationship with God, because I struggled with that as a kid too. I want to say, um, just being real, man. That's really all I want my YouTube channel to be. It's like something real, uh, putting myself out there for real, which is like very scary. It's just very scary. Um, because everybody has flaws and I have flaws too. I've made mistakes. I'm not perfect, and I think that's what holds people back for one. Which I'm not letting it hold me back. I'm almost learning from most of my mistakes and dealing with the consequences of my past and changing them for the better. You know. Uh, so yeah, man. Um, that's kind of what I wanted this video to be about. Uh, just the reason why I wanted to get better, and I guess it could like I don't want my videos to always talk about me. Eventually, I want to provide some sort of value to help the viewer out because that does help building a channel. Um, but right now, I kind of just want to like I don't know. There's so much to this. I could talk for hours. Um, so it's just like, holy shit, man. Um, Nobody's gonna watch these, but I'm gonna have them on just so I can look back and see how far I've came. That's my main purpose with these YouTube videos. I do not care how many views these get. I do not care what people have to say about these videos because I know one day in the future I'm gonna be a completely different person. I'm gonna be way better than I am now. I'm gonna do so much more with my life than I could have in that scary ass dream. Um, and I'm gonna look back one day and be like, wow, I did it. You know, I made it. Or not made it, because I don't care about making it. I just care about doing better than the guy who didn't do better. Uh, you know, um, in a way, which yeah, I want to make some more videos of just me talking. I think this is almost like just getting used to talking to the camera in a way. Um, One thing, and also just like putting myself out there. Like I just said, it's like wow, you know, wow. Uh, my elbow usually, which I still got a ways to go. I still got a lot to do. Um, One thing that kind of makes me like feel good is like nobody's gonna watch these videos. Nobody's gonna watch these videos, so I could kind of just say whatever I want to say and be like, I'm fine with that. These are just like kind of like my thoughts I'm having now. Um, who I am as a person, my past experiences, um, what I'm doing right now, which really, I'm working out, I'm reading. I journal from time to time. I kind of like to be like really, uh, I don't journal every day, um, which maybe I should, but I only journal when I feel like I really need to or when I really have something to journal about. Um, like, when I set goals or something, I like to take more action, which journaling, I guess you can call it action. I don't know. I never really got too big into journaling, which I think if you wanted to set some goals and remind yourself about them, uh, you can. But what you call it? Yeah, man. Um, that's also another reason why I'm making these YouTube videos. Because relating back to the frame uh, analogy earlier, I guess you can call it an analogy. Um, if I do these YouTube videos and I stick with them, then the frames in the future, well, they'll obviously show, you know? Um, and I don't know what would happen until you do it, in a way. You don't know what would happen unless if you do it. That's another thing I realized. Um, you got to keep doing it. And then I think you could visualize uh, where it can go after you do it. Um, I think even with working out, I didn't really like visualize where my physique would end up until like I started actually growing some muscle in a way. Um, So yeah, man, that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. I guess you could get a little bit of value. I think the frame thing is always something good to relate to and think about. Technically, just thinking about your current actions and where they'll lead up to in the future. Uh, yeah, I'm only 22. I'm still very young. I don't think this YouTube thing is gonna go anywhere crazy for like another year, maybe, um, or 2 years, maybe. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I think actually taking the action and doing it now is gonna pay off in the future. You know. Um, so yeah, I guess I'm gonna still do what I do, doing what I'm doing. Uh, the next video I want to make is the book that's helped me quit nicotine. Because I think that's just an important video to make, and I think that I don't have to have 100,000 subscribers to get views on it, which it might not get views at all, but I think like it is a value. It's a valuable video where I'm trying to get at here. Um, which views doesn't equal value, but I think it would be a valuable video for real. Anybody struggling with quitting nicotine or something like that. Um, yeah, it would be valuable. Even if people don't see it, um, it would still hold its value. So, yep, that's gonna be it for this one at least.